We're going back to May 2007, 11 years ago, for the rerun review of this month, Zodiac. This movie is directed by David Fincher, who also did movies such as Seven, Fight Club, Gone Girl, Social Network, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. So a very, very great resume there for David Fincher, very great director, and it also stars with the awesome trio of actors with Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo. So this is obviously a biopic based on the San Francisco murderer, the Zodiac Killer. And this is a biopic based on everything that happens around the killings, but mostly on Jake Gyllenhaal's character, Robert Graysmith, who is a cartoonist who ends up getting obsessed with the killer and wants to hunt him down. Now, this movie is phenomenal. From the get-go, I'm going to say that. I'm going to get that right out the way. Just a fantastic movie. Now, if anyone knows anything about the Zodiac Killer, you would know what's going to happen in this film. You're going to know maybe not the minute details, but you're going to know the broad things. And we know that the Zodiac Killer is actually one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history, pretty much. Now, when a movie is based like that, you kind of have a bit of thought. You go, okay, this is a real murderer, this is a real story, these are real people, and it has really no conclusion. Like, there's no set finish to this movie. Are they going to make up that was the killer, or are they going to set up a different ending? And no, they don't. And that's why I think this movie is so damn good. This movie, somehow, without having a set middle, end, and finish, it gets you engaged for 2.5, nearly 3 hours, and it keeps you so glued to the screen. If you're going to watch this film for the first time, I definitely recommend you find a time slot like that. No distraction, and just sit down and watch this. I did with a friend for the first time about 6 months ago, and I was blown away. This movie, though very long, it's just so intriguing. Everything that it does is just so well done in this movie. The direction is phenomenal, and I know that David Fincher put a lot of time in, not just to directing this film and figuring out what the intricacies of how they're going to show the biopic, make it into something intriguing, but just the details that he put in surrounding everything in this movie is so close to what happened in real life. It is ridiculous. The acting as well is just phenomenal. Jake Gyllenhaal, he's one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite actor. And he is just phenomenal in this film. Just seeing his transformation over time in this bumbling cartoonist that's like, oh yeah, I don't think that's right with the Zodiac Killer. And, just putting little details in. To years later when he's invested and he's finding out everything he can about the Zodiac Killer and almost destroying his life while he's doing it, but he is just so headspaced on going, I'm going to find this killer. It's crazy because you literally see this guy at the start and he's a bit of a weird, shy, bumbling, I wouldn't say idiot, but just a shy character that just does cartoons at the paper where it all started. And by the end of the movie, you see a completely different character, but you know it's the same guy. And you feel his transition. You've got, shit, I know what's happened to him now. And that is something that give the movie props to. As well as Robert Downey Jr. is phenomenal. He doesn't have a big as a role going towards the second half of the movie. The first half, he plays a great role. He plays a journalist at the paper where the Zodiac sends one of his letters in. That's how it connects him and Robert Graysmith, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. And then Mark Ruffalo is the actual homicide detective on this case, and he kind of plays a huge role as well next to Jake Gyllenhaal figuring out the thing. And it's just crazy to see these guys' lives be such impacted, and that's something they did so well, is just go through these characters and show not just how it's affected their lives, but how it's affecting other people's lives, and everything that's going on is phenomenal. And it's not your run-of-the-mill thriller serial killer movie, and that's what I liked about it. As I said before, it was never going to be. It's a biopic. We know that the killer was never found, and that's basic knowledge, so it's not really a spoiler to the film. And if it is, apologise, but it's only 11 years, so lift it up. But I think that's kind of worked in its favour, because you don't know what's going to happen with this movie. You're kind of going, how are they going to set up this thing when it's no definitive killer? What's going to happen with that? And they keep you intrigued. And for the most part, that you go from this heavy onset killing in the first act to kind of the second act being more about finding him, and then the third act, the serial killer really hasn't done anything, because it's been a long period of time of this movie set. 10 or so, maybe 15. I'm not precisely on the numbers, but it's been a long time. Maybe even 20 years. I don't know. It's been a fucking long time over the span of this movie, and it changes. It's so heavy on with the killings and the and this is the Zodiac shit, heavy on in the first, and then kind of the breakdown of it, and where the movie would usually go, this is where we're going to reveal the killer, this is when it's going to happen. They keep you intrigued, and he, you know, shows another side of Robert Graysmith's character. This whole movie is just, you know, close to a masterpiece. The editing is phenomenal. The cinematography, whether it is just following a car around or following a bookshelf or following a character, is so well done, and I think that's such an underrated factor of this movie. The cinematography is great. As I said, the characters and acting is great. This movie does a hell of a lot of things well, and the climax is definitely there. And there's some damn creepy scenes. He's not being held at gunpoint at any point in this scene, but you get chilled at some scene. There's a basement scene. They don't specify what's happening in this basement scene, but that is one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen in cinema, and that is not even a real, you know, it's not a climactic scene. Like, it is, but it shouldn't have been. Like, I don't get how they did that. And there's a nice touch at the end with the Robert and the character he sees as the Zodiac at the end that kind of ties the whole movie together. It's such a fantastic film. And, you know, they didn't have an ending. We don't know. To this day, they lead you towards a character who we're going to be Zodiac, which I won't tell you. They lead you towards who they're thinking, then they switch it up and go him, then we go them, and then it finishes on who they expect is the Zodiac killer, and he is the real main suspect in real life. And it ends like that, and you see a little bit of like that, and a little bit of extra touches at the end with some text and stuff like that, but we really don't get any answers, but you still feel so fulfilled, and you go, well, that movie was damn worth it. Now, the minor flaw to this film, I feel like, is probably the length. I think a lot of people, more casual movie fans, might find it a bit too long, a little bit boring at times, but I think for heavy film fans, will enjoy this movie. You'll get glued to your screen and you'll be really hard to enjoy it. I rewatched it. I did the same thing. I think you've just got to sit and get invested. And I think it's a slight problem, but I don't think it is a major problem. I think just getting invested is the hardest part of this movie. But I feel like once you're invested, it is just phenomenal. And I definitely think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this film. Definitely one of my favorite thrillers behind something like Silence of the Lambs. It's a phenomenal flick. And I'm giving Zodiac an A. Alright, that was my review for Zodiac. We're going back from May 2007 for that one, so 11 years. As I said, it's one of my favourite films. It has favourite actors. David Fincher's become one of my favourite directors. It is just such a fantastic film, and I definitely recommend you guys going and sitting down and really investing yourself in watching this, because if you kind of half-ass it, I don't think you'll get the experience that you really want to get. And I think you guys are probably wondering, I do give a lot of high grades out for my review reviews, and that is for two reasons. One, I do review a lot of the favourite films of all time. My favourite films, and I go, I really need to review that. I'm going to watch that and review that one, because that is one of my favourite, and I love talking about it. And two, it stands the test of time. Most of these movies have been out for at least 5-10 years, some 20, some 30, you know, cycle, we're going back like 50, 60 years, but I upgrade my review ratings because I know that standing the test of time is something that definitely matters for a movie. Some of the movies I review now, I go back and go, oh, I gave that one a B. Maybe it's probably closer to a B+, because that, you know, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be when I secondly watched it. Or same with like a C+, you know, I go, actually, rewatching it made this a little bit better. Maybe a B would have been more suited. There's always going to be stuff like that, but when you do a rerun review, you know that is the rating you want to give. And that, you know, even though maybe something like the first Spider-Man, which I gave a B+ to, on first watch probably would have been a B. But I knowing that is the test of time, it is one of the first superhero movies, and it's a great movie to watch, B+. And so, like, comparing it to the new Spider-Man, I gave them both B+. But I think Homecoming is my favourite one. A little bit of explanation so you guys aren't too rolled up with some of my ratings towards my rerun reviews and some of my older reviews, because it's something that gets there, and I know it might be like he's giving a lot of high ratings to movies, and the reason is because, you know, these are my favourite films. I review my favourite films for you guys. Some of the shit ones I reviewed Valentine's Day for the sake of it, but I am going to review my favourite films, whether, you know, they're one of yours or not. That's what I'm doing, and I do give out A+ in rerun reviews as well, so don't say, you know, he's giving a lot of A's out. I can give out A+, so there it is, guys. I'm going to leave you with that. If you've never seen me before, it is simply clicking that subscribe button, check out the rest of my stuff, get notified when I upload new stuff. I do plenty of videos. I'm adding a few extra segments in towards the next month. I'm adding 2 more segments I'm going to put in Hopefully monthly segments that I want to add in, as well as rebound reviews, will be my other monthly segment, if I can speak, as well as Steelbook Sundays, as well as everything. So thank you guys for watching, but of course, have a good one.